currently in the way that it's been going, we're a little bit concerned for it. But let's have a look at the veto. Let's start to dive into map number 1. Looks like it should be ending out with a TBD map pick, which it does. Consulate off, Villa back in. We're going back-to-back Villa. Why not?
Yeah, why not? I like Villa because, I don't know, not a lot of teams play a lot of Villa.
Yep.
So you can really start to see some varied results. It evens it out a little bit in terms of who's strong at it, because it's a map you can really adapt to a lot. There's a lot of ways to change things around.
Yep.
And some teams just struggle with it, and that can be exposed. I'm excited to see how this pans out, because Wildcard have played a little bit of Villa. I don't believe I've seen a lot of TBD on Villa before, so maybe this is something they've worked on in the break, ready for this match.
Okay, they have actually played a couple of maps on Villa. They've got some decent results. Yeah, their Pittsburgh matchup finished... Oh, no, sorry, that is their Fury matchup finished 3-7. Their Kanga matchup finished 7-4 their favour, and Sinister, they defeated 7-3. Those 3 teams I wouldn't really be trying to highlight for this particular matchup, because Wildcard, when they're on, they can be a completely different beast. And I'm out of all of the storylines, out of Elevate coming out and you know, reaching second place by 1 point, all of these other places, even Sinister coming back in and having an absolute banger for match day number 9, it's Wildcard.
Yep.
What they have done in the break, how they are going to adapt moving forward, I think this is a huge storyline in this season.
It's massive, because obviously they've been a giant name for ANZ before they were even signed with Wildcard as Augless. So for quite a while, this has gone very deep for them. This is a really big roster change, and considering just how, let's just not beat around the bush, how atrocious their first half was based on expectations, I think they've really answered that with dramatic changes.
Yep.
So whether it pays off, this is the chance now, because it's against TBD. They're a good team. They've had good results. So if it hasn't paid off, it should become pretty obvious, like very soon, tonight.
Please, tonight. Let's have a look at what you at home think of this matchup, where you think I think that's what I expected. 76-15 with a 9% draw. I don't even think the 9% draw is even possible at this point, actually, to be honest. You watch commentators curve.
Now it's
going to happen. Do you think that's a fair reflection?
Yes and no. I mean, Wildcard have that massive reputation.
Yep.
TBD being Augless, not as well known. I think a lot of the audience that would see this poll on ESL Rainbow Six would be like, well, I'm not really sure about TBD. I know who Wildcard are. Let's vote for them. And I mean, I have a lot of faith in what they've done with their roster, and I think it is going to work out for them. So I personally think Wildcard will take the map, but I'm ready to be surprised, because TBD have pulled out some great performances so far, and maybe this is their chance to rise to the occasion.
Well, that's it. Will they rise to the occasion? Both of these teams have the 3 best teams left in the region, so this is a huge start for the second half of Pro League, and it's going to be on Villa. Wildcard taking on TBD. So many storylines coming into this second half of Pro League. This is where TBD stands strong, and this is the road to redemption for Wildcard. I cannot stress both of those storylines enough.
That is exactly it, and the operator bans can have a big say on how this plays out. We saw Thatcher and Maverick banned on this map, last played by Pittsburgh Knights and Sinister. Thatcher starting off again. If the Maverick comes out, wow, we're really starting to form a bit of a trend, Rob. But no, it's the Buck. We've got some differentiation here.
Thank goodness. That was not. I'm not gonna say it was gonna tilt me, but it was gonna tilt me. I was gonna be pretty mad if I didn't see my my little fire dragon horsey boy again. Just write me off, send me home.
Well, he is in, so that means that hard breaching will be probably more popular. I mean, it was still successful in that previous game regardless, but there's more options available now with that Maverick on the board, and we're seeing an Echo ban for the first time tonight. He's actually seen a lot of bans previously, but I mean, in the first series, not at all, and we didn't really see him played much either. Does that really show that people just aren't used to him being available anymore? He hasn't really been nerfed or anything like that, so...
I really feel it is. You know, Echo literally... You would be hard-pressed not to say the name Echo in a ban phase in pretty much, I want to say 70% of matches nowadays. And so the fact that, you know, he was left in 2 of the matches previously. It does beg the question, players may not just be used to playing it. So anyway, let's divert back into the real storyline here, not one of Echo, more the one of the attacking side and how they're going to be approaching this one.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Anything that you'd like to make note of?
A couple of things that I am noticing. One with TBD is obviously they've got a strong focus on roam clear and flank watch. They've got the Nomad and they've got that Jackal. So they're both going to be handling that aspect, which is going to be what you would say early round phase or early round setup in clearing out that roam and setting up your flank watch. But on the other hand, seeing again a 1Y pick, actually seeing that trend quite a bit tonight. We've seen a bit of play. They've actually gone for it over a Jaeger. There's no Jaeger in this defense lineup.
I mean, like I'm all for when the new operators come in, seeing how teams actually capitalize on maybe a lesser known operator, a lesser known gadget, utility, however you want to put it. I think that it does kind of throw a spanner in the work. However, kind of tit for tat in a certain aspect there. A little bit of denial, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It is up to TBD. They will be approaching from the northern side, of course, across to one bedroom. Ethan, Nagoyo, into the ward, Astronomy. That hard wall in toward Stat is going to just be a little bit of a, more of a thorn for TBD's approach. And as such, they don't put too much emphasis across there.
Quickly point out as well, Pat on the Wildcard side is Thumbnail. We were referencing him as Thumbnail previously, but he has transitioned his name towards Pat. And Style entering into Master Bedroom, a little slow on the roam clear here. Just being thorough, which is good. A C4 not hitting the mark there. Not sure if that was intended for Jack Dad or somebody else in Astro. Either way, it's going to make them pull back a bit and play even more cautious at this stage. Ethan rotating back towards site. And look, TBD are really taking their time. It's very different to the previous series that we saw. Both those teams are really quick on their initial entries here. But this has taken TBD almost half the round to really progress past this Master Bedroom side.
A bomb has been located.
Now they will start to take control of 90. Cutie obviously out on the window was able to continue droning just to make sure that Wildcard weren't putting any more attention there. And with that, they can start to make a little bit more of a directed attack toward Aviator Room. However, still with study control here is Wildcard. They're going to actually start to put a little bit more pressure on toward that site, Raven.
They are, and it seems to be this trend that teams aren't really touching study at all or until late round. Mangoes is putting some pressure here, and that will give him a chance to pinch this smoke, but he has a player ready to refrag him really quickly from the top of the main stairs. He is completely stunned, wasn't able to see a thing, but has recovered. It is Diesel, a very strong smoke player at that. He will start to smoke off the Aviator doorway, slow down that plant, and that window is very well covered by his teammate being Ethan. Rotated back around to the main door was the Habana, but this execute looks like it's being prepared now, Rob.
Yeah, it's been sped up completely. Mangoes will go down, but look at this, so much information as Zippy Style holds down the corner, still needs to be careful. Emo Rin will throw the C4 through. It's the trades to come through. G will be able to find the free one onto Study. It was Zippy Style there in the meantime. Jack Daddy brought on site now, and they're just being picked apart. Emo Rin will sit in the corner of Vault, and TBD, well, they found their way onto the site, but it was once they got there that the problem started.
Yeah, they got those first 2 opening picks through their execute, and I was thinking, wow, this is a great push onto site from TBD. They had a lot of control, but Wildcard really brought it back. Well played by them, timing it right, and they will take that first round. It's got to feel good. I mean, they're going to be coming into this with a lot of pressure. I think between the 2 teams, 100% the pressure's got to be on Wildcard.
Yeah.
I mean, expectations all season haven't met them. They've made 2 massive roster changes.
Yeah.
So people are going to be putting them under the microscope and really criticizing them if this doesn't go well.
There is an element of pressure and an element of concern for Wildcard just because of just where they were to where they are now. Just 2 polar opposite play styles, if you will. And that's okay because they've now got the chance to restart. They've got a, I would say, this is a completely fresh roster, a completely new style that they're going to have to adapt to. Whether they've had enough time, I actually don't know how long Gio and Pat have been a part of Wildcard, whether they knew well before they were joining. But you would have to assume that there was some assumed knowledge there, rather than just being thrown in the deep end of a professional Rainbow Six team.
10 seconds
So whether
to
they're
go.
going to stand up and play to the expectations that we have
5 seconds
come
to
to
insertion.
know, that's another story altogether.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb. and
Finding it
defuse
very interesting that they've got Diesel on the Clash here. I mean, Clash as an
Attackers
operator you
dropped the
don't
bomb
see
diffuser.
played a
Attackers have
lot. Some
recovered their
teams have
diffuser.
some cool strategies based around her, and this is something that Wildcard are pulling out here. And he's playing quite aggressively on this top floor, and maybe just trying to get that early intel, bait some of the room clearers to try and push him aggressively and make a mistake. I'm really curious to see how it
Attackers have
plays out
located
with
a
the
bomb.
use of that Clash.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
This time
A bomb
TBD
has been located.
making a lot less of a time-consuming round. In fact, they've pushed pretty hard into Study and Aviator, so they have taken a fair bit of control as they have so many drones just above red stairs. You're going to be able to see that early intel there. Jack Daddy holds tight for a second. Ethan just needs to be a little bit wary. He's been able to spot that out though. Now we'll just sit and wait for that intel to be given across to Wildcard, but in the meantime, Gio does go down. Greatest start for Wildcard.
Big loss as well, being the Maestro. A fantastic operator to have late round, so to lose that early is going to hurt them. And Gio has proven to be a strong anchor player, and a clutch player at that, hitting a couple of big clutches when he was playing for Elevate in the first half of the season.
Attackers have
So
dropped the bomb
massive loss
diffuser.
there. Ethan getting some intel for his team still on the bottom floor. He's effectively quite pinched here though. He's got two players that could do a push onto him. He will see it coming. He's got the scanner out. There's no doubt about that. He knows that player's on him. He sees him as he crosses. The engagement coming out. He does come on top of that Joker. Taken out. He gets a chance to reposition. Maybe he can find another.
Well, they're actually going to flush on through here and try and take him out. That they have done as well. Ippy Style will be able to find that kill. Secure what was a pain in the backside. Pat with a nice C4. Cutie runs for cover, but it's too little too late.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
And with this,
Attackers
Diesel's
recovered
just
the
going to sit there with the Clash and buy more time. The flick nearly hits from Emo Rin. This time not connecting. Somehow Diesel is still alive, but you would dare say not for too much longer. And taken down from the side, Ippy Style closing that one out. Wildcard not being able to back their first round up.
A very aggressive push from TBD in the end. They just took that map control across the top, identified that there was the pulse below, and they had to deal with that. And while Joker was the first to go, a great pinch from, I'm pretty sure it was Jack Daddy, Ippy Style. A great use of their utility, Ippy Style using his impact grenade to clear Ethan's only cover in that stage. And even if Ethan got one kill, they were there ready to refrag. I really like that use of their time and utility. It got them in a good position to close that round. So Wildcard, they're going to try it again here, Rob. This is something we were talking about earlier, this idea of either repeating or just moving on.
Yeah, and it's a question that you always have to ask, especially when you're at a certain point in... I was going to say at a certain point in the season, but just realistically as a team, how do you approach this? Do you approach this in the way that you either move on straight away, regardless of whether it was a close round or not, whether you try to fix your mistake every time and you consistently hit the same site, or whether you only do it in adapting situations where you know that you can make the adaptations required to win? And honestly, from everything that we've seen in Wildcard from previous iterations, I honestly think that they're a team that will hit that side again if they know what went wrong.
Yeah, you have to feel like they've just looked at that round and they said, okay, this was the main reason. Like, if we just fix this, the rest of it should go okay. Or even just sometimes you can have an initial run to see how a team attacks it.
Yeah.
If you can't pull out the win, you're like, okay, well, we know this is how they attack it. Let's counter that. Let's try and adapt and fix that. They've got Emo Rin down here with Ethan to try and make this room work. Looks like there's going to be a lot of presence in Master Bedroom from the attack, and Pat looked like he was going to rotate in there, but deciding not to in the end. And this is a shift in focus from TBD, so we're already seeing I guess, some proactive adaptation from them.
Being able to change what's needed on the fly, obviously a huge part of Rainbow Six, and I don't like making the statement of good versus great teams, right? But it is the ability to be able to constantly adapt to your environment and not just have that single-minded attack that you can really make what's needed happen, if that is making sense, Raven.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Teams that fail to adapt will just get left behind.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily be reactive with it. It's a keyword that I used before, that TBD is being proactive here. Because maybe, like I said, Wildcard did say, oh, they're just going to push south across. They're going to be quite aggressive. Let's counter that. If you wait for that to happen and you're too reactive, then you're already playing into your opponent's hands. So I like the changes here. And TBD, again, wasting no time to push across and really put this pressure on the side. And this is going to mean that Diesel can't comfortably play around that master bedroom door. And that gives TBD the freedom to finally take master bedroom.
I really like this from Jack Daddy, right? Sitting at the top of red stairs. They know where Ethan is. Ethan knows where they are. But the problem is for Ethan, there's not really too much that he can do. He's actually been caught in the corner, but Itby Style can't hit that. It's a very awkward angle to try and take a fight on, and there was no space for a refrag there.
The thing I want to point out too is, like, he's playing Zofia. Why not concuss Ethan? Get him to put that scanner away, lose his side of your position, time your push, try and play some mind games. Instead, he kind of just pushed straight around. Ethan knew where he was, so he got the better of him there. TBD are putting some work in, though, outside of that, and have managed to get themselves back into a man advantage, taking away Pat and Emo, which is a big pick. As I say that, Mangoes gets another. So, again, TBD just really manhandling Wildcard on these attacks.
Yeah, Diesel's not really having the impact on that clash that I think Wildcard are hoping for. Diesel is known, and I mean properly known, as one of the best smoke players we have in the APAC region as a wider. And I feel like maybe being underutilized there in that clash role, Raven. But that's just the ramblings of an old boomer.
Look, I mean, it might have worked if something else in the strat was going better, and maybe that's what they're looking at here. Maybe they say the clash isn't getting an opportunity to work how we want it to because we're falling apart on the roam, or we're not keeping them away from sight quick enough, or something like that. But they're not going to try it again, which I think is a great call. They're going to rotate to dining and kitchen. Diesel is on the mute, so SAS operator can use the classic SAS shotgun. But you might be right, maybe it's an underutilized area for Wildcard. They're having Diesel off a strength operator.
Well, that's the thing. I do say the smoke just because of how well known he is for the smoke, but he's not just a smoke defender. He is actually quite a decent power player. Power player.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I think you understood. Yeah, you understood what I was alluding to there. And generally, an incredible anchor. No matter where you look, you can generally rely on Diesel to pull up the big moments when Wildcard need it. So we are going to be seeing the kitchen dining defense.
5 seconds left.
Thus far, have been a little bit underwhelmed by the performance.
Yeah, they really need to start resisting some aggression from TBD here, because they're having quite efficient time management, which is what didn't work out in TBD's favor in that first round. They were a bit slow, and that time delay from Wildcard was maybe the key factor there. But it hasn't happened since then. TBD have been really quick and efficient with their pushes, clearing out these roams with simple refrags as well, and then just power taking site, giving themselves a minute 45 seconds to actually work a plan. So I think that's where Wildcard need to find the counter, is just this initial phase, slowing it down, even get some opening kills, just stunt the push.
Oh, Emo Rin. Maybe a little bit fortunate to find that kill on the cutie, but regardless of luck, you can put that aside because that is the man advantage for Wildcard. However, I need to note this, the fact that we have seen out of the past 2 rounds, Ethan open up both of those and still it fell. The positive thing about this for Wildcard right now is there's no real chance for that refrag as of yet. So the longer that Emo Ring can continue to buy time and waste that space that TBD can't utilize, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And Imorin hitting the deck there. I thought he was down for a second, but no bullets really going in his favor. He finds the pick onto Joker. Again, a refrag opportunity missed by TBD. And this has been the key difference between the rounds. If Wildcard have been successful on a roam, whether with frags or time delay, they've ended up winning the round. If that keeps going, I feel like they can secure this, as TBD are really... They're trying to make something happen, but they're just not finding anybody. Oh, a nice shot, though, on the player in Library, trading HP. Geo actually not really taking much damage there, though. It looked like Jack Dad really hit some shots.
Well, this is much, much better from Wildcard. And so it all came down to a roam, because obviously Ethan was denying that control in toward Astronomy, and that's unfortunate for Jack Daddy, walking right into that angle. Hippie style, as the hopes of TBD securing another round here on his shoulders in a 1 versus 4. Pretty much every angle covered.
Yep.
You can write that one off and send it home.
Much better round from Wildcard, just not letting TBD take map control and just play comfortably. They finally contested it. Nice job from Imarin in Trophy. Netted himself 2 kills from that and wasn't refragged at any stage there. And that was what opened it up. It finally stunted that push from TBD.
Yep.
So Wildcard, if they can continue that, I feel like they will be able to string together some more rounds. We'll see how they go with Aviator Games Room. It was a bit of a muscle push from TBD last time, but Wildcard did secure the round ultimately at the end there.
It's something that I find interesting, which is the spacing of the TBD kind of... I'm going to try and think of the right word here. The claw, I want to say, which is that opening kill. I feel like every time TBD are going for that refrag, it's actually sometime after that first kill has gone the way of Wildcard. And at the moment, it's gone 2 for 1, so it's kind of working in TBD's favor, but it feels as though there's an opportunity for the likes of Imorin or Ethan to escape the grasp of TBD once they find that opening. However, it's proven they're not doing that, but there is that opportunity to. So I find it intriguing, the fact that it's so spaced out from TBD to try and refrag that position.
Seeing a pretty similar setup too from Wildcard on this site, though some interesting work done on the walls here at Aviator. Are they really leaving that wall soft from the study?
5 seconds left.
I feel like if TBD drone that out, they're going to see that as a pretty big vulnerability there. Being able to open that up as a rotator, even just use it as the line of sight itself. Pretty sure you can see right through into the gun vault. But they're going to push from master side across, which is what they did last time. And see whether TBD can contest it. They did last time. Imarin is over there in the Astro area, and if he's not careful, TBD will get a quick, clean entry into master.
I'd love to see where these mute jammers have been placed. Ubisoft, if you just want to put a little X-ray around the gadgets, I'd love you forever. But I would find it intriguing as to whether Imorin is backing up that roam on the northern side across toward Astronomy, well, was, with those mute jammers.
Yeah, I mean, there's one in the master door there, so, I mean, Cutie's drone's going to go through Trophy. Mango's is going to be stuck at the statue door, so they're going to have to spend a mixture of time getting a drone around the back to check statue fully. But either way, I don't think it's going to stall them out too much, not like it did in the previous round. Joker is there as the Jackal as well, so he can peek that with his Inox and get some feet scanned. But Cutie actually just yeets it straight through Trophy anyway. They figured out it's clear enough. They saw the feet, and now they will finally find out where Imorin is, and that's back on site.
Yep. Good thing was Imorin made the early call and really wasn't too interested in sticking around to tell a tale that was not need to be told. Ethan will go down in the meantime, so a man advantage for TBD this time. Time management's pretty good here, Raven. Already taken a fair bit of control.
Yeah, they have. It's been a bit better than last time they attacked Aviator. They were really only just coming out of Master to put pressure on. Last time they were attacking this, and it looks like the execute might be similar on the top of the red stairs side into Aviator. Might put some pressure down 90. And it just depends what Wildcard do with these players around study and main stairs. If they can get a pick, it might be much more comfortable for them. They can play out of study to deny the Aviator entrance. But if this is disrupted, they might be able to get a clean plant, TBD.
That pre-aim on the angle, the pre-fire as well, nearly catching Ippy Style out, but Ippy Style styling on Diesel. Unfortunately, getting caught in the corner of study with nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. That's the 3 smoke babes, actually, that Wildcard can no longer use. And with that, TBD are definitely going to get this diffuser down. Not again. Pat's going to be able to deny the diffuser. Going to try to plant behind the vault wall, bait it out there, and they'll be able to execute perfectly. Geo now coming around the side from Study. Hasn't been able to spot it out. Maybe there's a world in which he takes down the diffuser and it's on, but just divide and conquer for TBD.
Yeah, really just missed the mark on his pre-fire, just a little too far to the right. I feel like if he got that pick, he might have just stayed comfortably in Study. Could have played the round out, but either way, there was some errors there from Wildcard. Diesel not being refragged in Study, which is the main purpose of the way they had that strat set up. With the Wamai playing top of main stairs, I believe the idea is that Diesel can play comfortably in Study, help deny plant, deny entrance through Aviator, and if he's to get peeked from that single window or the door, then Wamai is there to refrag. But Ibistar got the pick from the window clean, and there was no refrag at all, and that was really the key factor there, I think, that slipped that round away from Wildcard.
Straw that broke the camel's back.
That's it.
A little bit of a sad story,
Attackers
but
need to locate
Wildcard
and
have an
defuse bomb.
opportunity to draw it out here. This will be the second time if TBD can successfully take this final round that we're going to see a 4-2 half in favour of the attacking side in as little as 2 matches. So you were alluding to that though, Raven, the fact that this map is, it's yet to be desired for a lot of these teams. It is the way you play it, it is the way that you decide to approach it.
It's really interesting, and I wouldn't mind trying to deep dive into some stats later on, but it seems that teams that either bring less hard breach or just try to use it
10
less in
seconds
general
left before insertion.
on attack in Villa seem to be more successful. It's a bit of a
5
generalization
seconds
just based on matches I've casted at least, but it seems to be the trend, and it's
Attackers
going that
seconds
way
to locate a
tonight.
bomb and defuse it.
And I'm dubious of this strat, as well, that Wildcard are doing with the soft wall into Aviator from Study. I think it's a strong angle, and if they were to lose Study, then I just think that's too good to give the attackers.
And it has, obviously they're putting a lot of attention across there. This time we might be able to see a little bit more useful from Emo Rin, a little bit more use, I should probably say, not useful, I apologize. But Emo Rin, once again, backs away. He actually goes back up the stairs for a second. Had Mangoes thought that that was clear and Jack Daddy goes in, there is a cheeky little kill to be had, but TBD are definitely crossing their T's, dotting their I's this time. Ethan's in a very interesting position.
A bomb has been located.
Whether he'll be able to find anything on that roam or not, yet to be desired.
Some good entry again from TBD. Emo was there to try and contest early, but it hasn't hindered them at all. They've pushed straight through. They got the air jabs out for flank watch. That means they can start progressing across. I like the way that Ibistar is cutting that rotate at that Study doorway. There's definitely a position that is being played strongly by Wildcard. So you would expect them to potentially be freely moving around there. Likely to be the Wamai, which is who was playing it last time.
Jack Daddy not going to be given anything for his patience as Wildcard now double back to the site. I believe Ethan may have fallen back as well. Now come out the smoke babes a lot earlier than what we saw them last time. Diesel's still stuck in that corner. Obviously someone watching from the Study balcony is going to make that a little bit harder. Geo as well, just on the corner of Long. And Jack Daddy making an absolute nuisance. Ibistar is going to shut down Ethan. This is not going well for Wildcard at all, Raven. Falling apart.
It really is, and again, that shouldn't be happening. Ibistar, the one on Study, he is solo, and they have so many crossfires set up. That strategy is designed about holding that crossfire. The fact that he even got 2 and was refragged is really bad for Wildcard. It's put them in a terrible position coming into this final 30 seconds. TBD just looking really good on their attack of Aviator here, and Wildcard are going to have to pull out some stops and some kind of plant denial. They've got 2 C4s available. It's just going to have to be hitting the mark.
Now here comes the smokes. This time he's going to go for the shot through the actual smoke itself. To no avail. Looks like Geo might be pushing from Study. He does do so. It actually pulls Jack Daddy off the defuse for a second. He's going to have to try and cut back away. C4 comes out. Once again to no avail. Only a second left on it. Jack Daddy now sicking it, and Emo Rin.
Operators, you have run out of time.
What? What? Raven?
That's not what I was expecting either.
Neither was hang on. Wildcard win that round? Emo Rin? What? He was walking into his demise. Raven!
Not sure what happened there. I'm surprised that Imran was able to get away with that. But anyway, is what it is, Rob, my man. And it's a 3-3 half, which is very interesting because it means we can't really say what's going either way. You'd have to argue, though. TBD, that was a good round from them. That was their round, basically. I can't believe that Imran got away with that.
That's... yeah. Literal murder. Let's move on from that because otherwise I'm going to get sent into an absolute spin. That's all right. We do see TBD go across toward the AVG, Aviator Games. And this time I'm really hoping for a bit more from Wildcard. We're actually going to see the Clash come out on the Mangoes once more in this matchup. That'll be the third time we've seen her play.
Yeah.
Something we don't.
I am kind of surprised by the amount of Clash use, but look, I've seen her played to relatively good effect on Villa in particular before, and this bomb site, in particular the current Giants roster in Southeast Asia, back when they had Mentalist, they had a pretty nice strat with a Clash on this, using the Kaid, I think, behind the TCSG, playing the Clash for the intel and the TCSG for the fragging. That worked quite effectively for them, so maybe it's kind of built around that.
Joker at the moment, literally sitting on the window. The shotty as a secondary will blast Ethan to bits. But he will get away scot-free. No information given and an eye for an eye. They are now looking a lot slower here, Wildcard. A lot happier to play with that slow progression. Hippie style. Playing on the back of a bullet hole. Will be able to find a kill from the previously...
Oh, no
my
way.
God, Ippy Style is having a day right now. Wildcard are in all sorts, Raven.
Yeah, I just shouldn't be able to get away with that. I mean, a big alarm bell for me is he was just sitting on a soft wall in statue. The drones were everywhere for Wildcard, but somehow missing the mark. I mean, all it took was for a drone to swing around the corner, either give the comms or even a ping, and he could have been shut down. So that's a bit of a yikes in the side of Wildcard in that first half of this round, because now they're in a huge man disadvantage. They're still going to deal with a Clash, and the best operator they had to deal with that was Pat on the Zofia, and yeah, he's gone now.
Wildcard, 2 operators down. Not the start they'd be hoping for on their attacking side. This is, after all, TBD's technical map pick, as much as a best of one can be a map pick. They were given the choice, and I can't remember what the last ban would have been, but they were given that option, and they decided to go with Villa. So we are going to see 90 being pushed from Wildcard now. A very spearheaded attack with Geo. They see the Clash.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
And that will definitely slow down the movement from Clash for now anyway.
Yeah, I mean, good air jab in a way because it stops it coming down the hallway, but it's utility not used, and Jack Daddy, nice angle through the drone hole there, takes him out. Ethan tries to push aggressively through for the refrag, but that is caught by Cutie, and all up to Diesel. This attack has been, look, woeful at best from Wildcard. They haven't even done a single hit point of damage on TBD.
Don't think they're going to either. They're not. Oh my word. An absolute flawless round from TBD. It starts with Ippy Style and it ends with Joker. However, Wildcard are the butt of their own joke, my friend. That was a very, very good round for TBD, regardless of whether it was mistakes made by Wildcard, which you would have to say the initial 2 openings were. But it's a game of forced errors. And if you can't capitalize on those errors, well, unfortunately, this is what it turns out to be.
Yep, it sure does. And they're going to have to be much, much tidier on entry if they've got any chance of winning any of these attacks, to be honest, because I did not see them bringing it back after losing those first two. Just based on the basicness of the error, it just seemed to be a lack of intel or some poor droning or something like that. Maybe just too eager. Either way, they really need to rein that in because TBD are playing really well at the moment. They're capitalizing on a lot of mistakes that Wildcard are making.
Yep.
And I just don't see Wildcard bringing it back if they can't fix this stuff.
Well, if that's a way to use the Clash, then we've seen it now. It's a lot better.
10 seconds to go.
Because,
5
well,
seconds to go.
they won the damn round.
Yep.
It just felt like every time Wildcard was using that Clash, it was very isolated, and it didn't look like, I mean, obviously it served a purpose holding the certain site, but I feel like the biggest problem there and the biggest utilization you have with the Clash is basically using it as a live drone. And I feel like that was very much taken away from Wildcard in the way that they were able to well, rather the way that TBD were able to play around with that, because they weren't as aggressive as what we just saw TBD with Mangoes obviously holding down the 90 angle and ensuring that there was no free passage that side.
Attackers have located a bomb.
So different ways to play the operator, and currently TBD are looking the better.
I think that's also a really good point of the differences of the bomb sites they're being used on. I mean, Mangoes is using it on the same site we saw Diesel using it on. But holding down that long hallway past the bar games room area is a lot easier with Clash because you don't have to worry about a lot more angles. It's just that one directly behind you, which you usually have some good intel on. Whereas Diesel had to rely on his team holding that top of red stairs area because otherwise you can't play deep at all. And then even then you have to worry about Astro. So playing a Clash on this side is definitely riskier if you want to play it deep. You have to rely on your teammates to be able to hold those outer areas being Astro on top of red for it to be effective around that master bedroom area.
And one clear difference already is the fact that Wildcard had the pulse on that first floor, just trying to be a nuisance around red stairs, and more often than not was to the demise of Wildcard, or so it felt. That may not have been the exact point in time, but TBD are pretty much staying on site here. Hippie style thinking there might be someone roof side of the window, but would be wrong in thinking so. Pat making the way in. Emo rim with a nice nade over the top. Now it's a little bit heavier now.
Yeah, and I don't think they spotted out that player at the box, and all the C4 finishes off the window player. Geo not making much of an impact yet on these attacks. And Wildcard are really just struggling here with what TBD is pulling out. Some tricky positioning and just not getting a chance to even take the gunfights, really. They're just losing out before they get to shoot a bullet back.
His style has currently changed his position 3 times in Astronomy, so every time he's been able to take an engagement, he's backed away. Wildcard now not sure exactly where he is. Pretty much have to pre-fire every single angle. Likely they will do so in a 4 versus 5 anyway, and might be rewarded for it. Tries to hit the angle, but with Itby style holding down a second as well. It's mirrored from the first round. Emo Rin at least starts to put a little bit more pressure onto TBD. Will be able to find a second kill. It makes way. Diesel comes in from the side. Had he hit that, it could have been over. But not this time. TBD, they use that Clash to such nice effect.
Yeah, Clash working out really well for them in that late round there. And Wildcard, again, just... I think it's got to be a misuse of intel, right? We saw that drone come up Astro stairs for the purpose of finding where they're playing. Are they playing in Astro, or are they playing around trophies somehow? I guess the intel came out that there was somebody playing the rotate, and maybe they missed Ippy style playing in the doorway, or potentially the entry player, which I believe was Pat on the Zofia, just was a little impatient.
Yep.
Peeked out before the intel was complete, and it got him fragged out. It seems to have been an recurring thing in the 2 rounds we've seen of Wildcard's attacks. Maybe they just need to slow it down,
Yep.
be a bit more thorough. And I mean, ironically, that is something they were widely criticized for in the first half, and for a while actually, was that their attacks were really slow. So here they are trying to get some pace, and look,
It's not working.
it seems to be their weakness.
Now, was that, just to confirm, was that Jack Daddy who found that opening kill? I can't remember who it was that threw that C4 out. Or was it Cutie even?
I think it was Cutie.
I'm just going to take a stab there. I'm currently trying to keep score of the opening kill deaths, because it's always interesting to us, Raven, when we do see a team successfully open a duel, however lose the round. Generally, you know, you just kind of do simple mathematics in a 5 versus 4. You have a lot less of a chance of actually converting, and I think it's something between 75 and 85% of rounds that you find the opening duel, generally you will convert those rounds, but there are plenty of factors that do skew that, I will tell you that much. And as we said, Wildcard just not having a great time on Villa. Granted, it is TBD's map pick, quotation marks around that.
Yeah. It's a similar thing too. On their defense, the issue was that they weren't really resisting TBD often enough, and that the initial entry was too efficient, and it was working out too well. They were actually getting picks on it. It seems to be the same on this, in that Wildcard's entry is just not being effective, and it's allowing TBD to play these positions and get these picks. So they need to figure out more innovative ways, or adapt to the way that TBD are doing these defenses, because it's the same thing, you could say, but just opposite sides.
Yeah. What is it? What do they say? 2 sides of the same coin? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's the right saying.
It's very much an issue for Wildcard right now, and just hasn't been looking the Wildcard of past that we once knew. However, it does still leave a big gap open. The C4 pre-prepped here for Jack Daddy. The second they decide to walk on top of it, adios amigos, but it doesn't look like they're going to be going anywhere near it. In fact, they've been able to walk completely past it, and that is the C4 gone to waste. Unless...
Ooh. Jack Dad sees him sitting there. Oh, he came back to it. Oh no, is he going to blow it or not? Oh, it's not actually destructible. Okay, after all that, that's probably the shower. I didn't even think about it.
That just baited me so.
Yeah, me too. Look, it was a roller coaster of emotions. I enjoyed it, but unfortunately, we didn't get any reward out of that. That being said, less than a minute to go here, and Wildcard put very little pressure onto the defense. In fact, the defense have just got the opening pick again, and are looking pretty good coming into the final phase of this round.
Diesel out of the count now. It's left up to the remainder of Wildcard. Ethan on site will be able to find Jack Daddy. Comes from left field. Pat taking down Joker as well. TBD have lost the site, but not the war just yet. They are going to be able to play the safe keeps. Wildcard are in a pretty decent position until I say that.
Oh,
15 seconds to go.
that's a yikes. That's Diffuser. They had sight, and Mangos is looking like he's just won this round for his team when they really shouldn't have, because TBD has just given up sight completely. And it was a good read from Wildcard. It was Ethan that made the entry through the kitchen. His team backed him up, but the kit wasn't there. And then Geo fragged out on the pantry stairs. Yeah, that's got to hurt.
It's just adding insult to injury. For Wildcard, I just can't believe that we've seen the break and this is what we've come out of it. Obviously, I'm going to be careful. I don't want to bat on about it too much because obviously, you know, this is still very much a building phase for Wildcard, and they might be looking at this. This is something that I'm interested to hear from Wildcard right now, is what is this second half of Pro League for them? Is this an attempt to try and regain that top 2 position, or are we going to see them double down and more focus on the team as a whole rather than the results that they're getting? Because those have vastly different results, Raven.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And to an extent, maybe they had already decided, like, you know what, we're actually quite far behind top 2.
Yeah.
Elevate and Fnatic are pretty far ahead of them. It's almost 10 points, or I think in the Fnatic case it is 10 points.
It's 10 points in the Fnatic, 9 points in the
So that's 3 map wins out of their remaining 6 maps. And look, I mean, maybe considering the teams they're against, they've just decided that's pretty tough. Let's just do what we can. We've got 2 new players, and like, let's not understate that. That's tricky for a lot of teams to break in.
10 seconds left
I
before
mean, we had the break, but they didn't boot camp with that new lineup for one,
5
which is
seconds left before
one way to accelerate it. And then just for another, it takes time. And they've clearly changed some roles. Diesel obviously reprising his role on the Habana. But either way, there's going to be internal role changes that will just take time. And some teams adapt to that really quick. A good example was Fnatic's change at the start of this season.
Yep.
They brought on Mentalist and Tex. That came in really quick, but they boot camped.
Yes.
So I think that's the big difference if you want to compare those 2 teams.
When you put it like that, you can almost compare them like apples and oranges because they're 2 extremely different approaches that have had 2 very different workarounds, if you will, 2 different results. Plus that and Mentalist, I think, can speak for himself. And the kind of caliber that he brings, not that Pat and Geo don't, but Joker is actually going to progress there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was not expecting that in any way.
I could just picture him being like, hang on boys, I'm going to get real close to my modder and I'm going to squint. I can see him, but
Good luck with
nah,
that.
man. I don't know.
Nah, man.
Either way, that was maybe not a necessary thing for him to do, and it's given Wildcard a bit of a sniff at the start of the round when so far in their attacks they've never had that chance. And it could be the momentum that gives them the next 3 rounds, you know? Like sometimes that's all it takes, is just that little thing.
It is the flow-on effect. I think Ghost is going to be in a similar position from round 1, playing at 90 and just slowing down any control in that hallway, which Wildcard have put a little bit of their presence across there. It's not like it depends on that to work. However, it could very much be a reason why they're having a lot of troubles. You can see now we're going to watch Wildcard come across a little bit more so, and still, I don't think they learnt from their previous mistake. Itby Style, oh no, it was Jack Daddy last time, found a kill in that exact same position.
Yep, using that drone hole. And yeah, you're right, they still took damage to it. Can actually tagged under half HP just for being there. And again, time ticking away for Wildcard. I mean, we talked about maybe they were going too fast. I feel bad, but now I feel like they're going a bit slow. They got the opening pick that was kind of gifted to them on the back of Joker, just making a poor decision. And this stage, it's going to be just an absolute cluster rush on this side.
Cutie still with smoke babes left as well. Humorin's going to have to go deep if they want to get into the site, and perfectly placed on those smokes. It's just shutting down all this time for Wildcard. They're not being able to buy enough, and that's going to be Jack Danny on a more aggressive line behind the couch. He's just swung into 90. He knows that it's clear. He's got 1 to find. He might even be able to line them up there. It's absolutely fallen apart, and Pat has no choice but to try and salvage something, and Cutie will not even allow it. TBD, what a performance in map number 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it anything other than dominant, honestly. I mean, like, Wildcard got 3 rounds, but TBD just looked so strong throughout most of that map. I hope Wildcard can bring it back. Maybe Villa wasn't the map they were hoping to play, or maybe it was just a bad map for them. I'm really curious to see how the second map goes, but so far TBD are just looking really good compared to how Wildcard are looking.
And Diesel only sitting on 2 kills. That is not something we're used to seeing, especially with how impactful he is on that defense.